welcome back. I am so excited to introduce this week's guest. She is incredible, Olivia Conklin. She is this incredible somatic healer, a fellow somatic healer, and it's really, really beautiful to have her expertise on the show to really be able to provide us with background on somatic healing and to really provide a point of view on how it can be such a powerful tool, given there's been so much focus on mindset over the last decade or decade beyond that. And I feel like the missing piece for so many people has been body. And so I'm really excited to dive into this topic. I feel like it's such an important one because we all are souls that dropped into this body for a reason. It's here to really guide us. And so I'm really excited to have Olivia on the show to really start to provide her point of view on how somatics has really changed her life. So thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited to be here, truly, Christina. And yeah, I totally agree. We focus so much on the mind and ignore like this human vessel that we come in. So I'm stoked to be here talking about it.
Yeah, we do. We ignore like this thing that literally is housing our soul. Like it's such an important part of it. But I think all we have to do is just remember the importance of the body. And so I'm really excited that you're going to share some wisdom on remembrance of the body. So to even dial it back, what does somatics mean to you? And what exactly does it entail for someone who might be new to somatic healing?
Yeah, so somatic just refers to the body. So soma from Latin literally translates to the body. And so somatic healing just means bodily release, as simply as I can put it.
Wow.
And so when we think of somatic healing, I think a lot of people think of like either like screaming or, like something like really intense. And in reality, like every time you sweat, there's somatic healing going on. Every time you walk, there's somatic healing going on. And so the way that I compartmentalize it is with an acronym called the MESS method. So MES, because as humans, we're so messy and beautiful in all of our forms. One form of somatics and somatic healing that I utilize is the first, which is M, movement. Mm-hmm. And when we move, we are somatically releasing things that have happened to us in our lives. We're somatically releasing toxins that we've ingested into our body. We're somatically releasing truly thoughts, so much, some of it, most of it, we're not present to. But there's also other parts of somatic healing, like E stands for elements. So fire, earth, water, air. Any element that leaves your body is also bodily healing. So water, when you sweat, when you cry, when you scream, and airs come down in your mouth. You can also somatically release your breath during breath work. Breath work is a super powerful process that so many practitioners swear by, including myself. Also heat leaving your body, just heat leaving your skin is a somatic release. And then, even down to when you go to the bathroom, that is somatic release. Like your body is releasing things that do not any longer serve it. And then the S stands for sound. And so anytime you speak, like when you call your friend and you're upset about something and you speak it out and suddenly it's like, actually, this wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it was. It's because you are putting words to sound to the things that you've experienced. Another way and methodology of somatic release is, of course, like utilizing sound to its like greatest capacity, screaming, yelling it out, right? Like creating huge amounts of sound in your body. But as humans, we resonate at a certain frequency. So sound really supports us. Even just talking to a friend about something really supports us in somatic healing. So to put a very long answer short, somatics is really just about your body. Like any sort of bodily release you can think of, that's somatics.
That's huge. Wow. And I really love how you talked about the earth elements too, like the earth, the fire, the water, like the purity that are just honestly the alchemy that we move through with those elements. It's like you think about even when and I like how you're saying that. So would you consider the fire element, like as you're like sweating, that heat is moving through you, or how would you use those earth elements in somatic healing?
Yeah. So any kind of heat in your body is somatic healing, like when you're releasing heat off of your body.
Mm.
Um, and even when you breathe just out of your nose, you're releasing heat from your body.
Yeah.
When you in yoga, this is called like the breath of fire, because you are generating heat and then releasing it from your body. So yeah, I mean, we release heat all day long in
Yeah.
actuality.
What a metaphor for like the entire universe is within us, right? It's like we're literally creating the water, the earth, the fire, just all of it, the air, right? It's like, oof, all of it. That's really beautiful. I haven't heard it put that way, and I absolutely love that. So cool. So what got you into somatic healing?
Well, about 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago now, my mom passed away from cancer. And at the time, I had done a lot of personal development and mindset work. And I had just touched on somatic healing by becoming a yoga teacher and practitioner. And I did this training that truly changed my life because it brought me the somatic tools that I had been missing of movement, and even further than that, free movement, not like a posture or a pose, but like just move your body and let it lead you somewhere. And so at the time, I was struggling with my mom passing away, and mindset work truly did nothing when that happened. Like, I was young then, truly, and mindset work just didn't really actually lead to healing for what I was experiencing. The only thing that worked was somatics. And so I would move with the pain, and I would feel the pain, and I would release the pain, and I would use every element that I've spoken about yet. I mean, I would get so upset and so sad and so in grief that I would throw up. Like, I was releasing so much, because, I was also releasing the journey that I had with her as she was battling cancer for the last 2 years of her life.
Mhm.
So there was just a lot that I was releasing during that time period. And I learned so much about my body in those 2 years after the fact. Like, I learned how she operates and what I need to do when she feels certain things, and also how to support other people in experiencing and processing things that have happened to them. Um, but I mean, the reason I got into somatics is because it was the only option. Like, I
Yeah.
needed something to support me, and this was the only thing. Like, more than therapy, more than talking
Yeah.
about it, more than mindset work, it was this that helped me heal.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. Thank you so much for breathing that into the space, because it's so true. There's like, it's trauma is stored in the cells of our body. And until we let our body tell the story, our mind will keep us in that cyclical pattern for the rest of our lives. Like, that is why I hear so many people who are like, I've been talking about this in therapy for 40 years, and I had one somatic healing, and I feel like I uprooted the entire thing. And it's like, how is that even possible? It's like, because all your body wanted to do was tell the story. All your cells needed to do was open up and release it, versus trying to think your way out of it or make it wrong. It's like, it's right. It doesn't have to be right or wrong. It can just be. And so just giving it the space to breathe, to move, to experience that movement. I'm so glad that you found this tool, because it's like, of all the tools and of one of the most important times in your life to find it, like, of course it brought you to that. Like, that's so epic and so beautiful that that brought you to this space.
Yeah, it was definitely a blessing. And I think truly, like, not to get too far off topic, but grief is one of the most powerful teachers.
Yes.
Because, and like, there have been studies done on this, like, it rewires how your body operates. Like,
Mm,
your emotions are unpredictable. Like, it feels like you are living in a war zone inside of your physical space. And so for me, grief taught me so much about the body, because I had to learn. Like, it was this moment or never, because
yes.
I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what I was feeling, and I needed to understand in order to move forward.
Yeah. Wow. Please get off topic for things like that. Like, yes. And I totally agree. I feel like Grief is, and death is, one of the best teachers in so many ways. It teaches us to have compassion for self. It teaches us to be okay with it being completely unpredictable. Because I know when I was going through deep levels of grief, it was like 1 second I'm okay, the next second I'm absolutely not okay. And it could just change in a split second, and nothing really around me changed. It was just an energetic shift, and I needed to be there for me. And so to hold yourself through that, and like through the body. Yeah. I'm just like so grateful that you are breathing that into the space, because I think it's so important to note that if nothing else is working, or you've tried so many things, lean into your body. Your body knows the answers. And I love how you brought up free movement, because I think that that has been one of the most powerful ways that I've healed too, is like, besides just the breath, letting my body move the way that she desires has been like one of the most liberating experiences. And it's like, I don't even have to know what I'm releasing. I'm just moving. And all of a sudden I'm like, I feel better. I feel calm in 5 minutes and 10 minutes. And depending on how big or little this thing is, but it's like, that's all I needed. She just had to be witnessed and held and seen. That's huge.
Yeah, I think as humans, honestly, like you said at the beginning, when I was talking about the elements, we think of ourselves as so separate, and I'm guilty of doing this too, but we think of ourselves as like the human entity and then the world around us.
Mm-hmm.
And in actuality, like there is really no distinction between how my body and my system operates and how the rest of the world around me operates. And the reason I bring that up is because like grief is a daily experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are births and there are deaths within me as a human each and every day. And there are births and there are deaths in the world around me momentarily, like every single moment. That is what is happening in my space. And, we don't think of it that way, but the reality is like nature is doing what nature does, and we are a part of it. And so to be able to know your body really, really well, be able to practice moving your body, practice understanding her language, is a gift that you'll be using every single day.
Yes.
Because we are experiencing that grief and that birth and that newness and that ending each and every day of our lives.
Yes. Yes. I totally agree. To your point, it's like that the death and rebirth that we experience is in everything. It's like new moments are happening all of the time, and we're releasing old versions of us all of the time. And so it's the micro like moments of that. It's so important to hold yourself in it, because sometimes it doesn't make sense when we have extreme anxiety out of nowhere. Like we can't rationalize it, but our body knows why. So it's like, let your body tell the story, let your body start to release it. Yeah, that's huge. So thank you for bringing that up too, because I think we so often, or at least I've seen I myself for the longest time, and I catch myself doing it sporadically too, is like minimizing our trauma. It's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal in comparison, but it's like, if anything was too much, too fast ever, it's trauma. And so to actually hold yourself in that, to be there for yourself is so important. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think that you bring up a good point there too, of like what we qualify as trauma. So the somatic method that I use is okay. I go into this now.
Oh, absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. So the somatic method I use is based on a somatic, like pretty much the first somatic practitioner that was widely known. His name is Richard Strozzi Heckler. And he's done a ton of research. He's a brilliant man. And he's also been practiced at working with the somatic work for years and years and years. And he kind of quantifies all of this as our body's shape. So essentially who we are as individuals, how we have lived our lives, carries into the shape that we carry each and every day. And so like on a large scale, you can see that as like, if somebody works at a computer all day and they have their head down, of course, they're going to get hunched shoulders over time. Mm-hmm. But also, if somebody experiences somebody shutting them down over and over and over again, and they lose their voice, that's going to show up somewhere in their shape. We might not be able to like see it as much as we can see somebody's shoulders hunched over, but that still shows up in their shape. And so I like to think about it as if like, if this fist was how my body was supposed to look, over time and throughout our life, things happen to us that change our shape. And suddenly we're like this, and we don't even recognize the version of us that was like this. We don't even remember her. She's like so far in the past that we don't recognize who she once was. And so the way to change this shape is, number one, to remove the things that have happened, meaning to release the things that are holding your shape from your body. Because like you said, people can be battling something for 40 years in therapy and then have one somatic release, and suddenly it's like, oh, I'm fine now.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about somatic work, what we're talking about is, how do I change my shape from who I've become to who I've always been?
Mm-hmm.
And from this space, I can create so much more. From this space, I have unlimited access to joy, to ease, to freedom, to love, to passion, to desire. Even from this space, I have access to anything and everything. But it does take sometimes getting back to that first.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Getting back into alignment. But I love that. And that is such a beautiful way of describing how that type of release can happen in one session. It's like, just when you release it, it now brings you back into your natural form versus like where you were at before, or you conformed, based on life, ego, circumstances, all of these things. And it's like brings you back home to you. And that's kind of like the unplugging, the releasing, and then it gets you back into normal, or not normal, back to your divine form. Right. Wow. That's beautiful. What would you say, having worked with so many women in this space, what would you say that most women, or what is it? Is there like a common theme that you see when it comes to pain and trauma? What is it that most women are experiencing overall? Or is there like a common thread that you start to notice that's weaving between all women, or most of the women that you see?
Yeah, truly it's around, usually, embracing your body and what it looks like in its truest form.
Mm,
And most women that I work with have at least one attribute of themselves that they like hate to admit that they hate, or they hate to admit that they ignore, or they hate to admit that they like actively try and change day in, day out and know they can't.
mm,
And that part of their bodies is usually holding on to some form of judgment, shame, or like lack of self-love. And so usually what I work with women on is, we got to embrace what you look like right now. Like, we got to embrace the body as it exists.
mhm.
And quite honestly, from that, usually women start to see their bodies change
Yes.
into, this shape, like what it's naturally supposed to be, like their home base shape.
Yeah.
And they start to love them more, and they think like, oh my God, my body's changing. Like, I'm starting to love it more. And it's like, no, you're starting to love her more. And so she's changing.
Mm,
As you begin to fall in love with the parts of yourself that you've ignored, or you're ashamed of, or you've judged, they will actually start to shift. What's hiding there is your own self, lack of self-expression and love.
I have seen that in my own life. I can tell you, like, having had an eating disorder in college and just remembering so much of my childhood of hating my body, parts of my body. And um, I have noticed such a beautiful shift in the way that I view my body, and now how my body is responding. I'm like, what are these like beautiful curves that I haven't experienced? Like, and it's like the beauty of it, where it's like, I wanted to be just rail thin and I was so unhappy. And then all of a sudden it's like, when I did all of this deep, deep somatic healing work, fell in love with my body, I look at my body in the mirror and I'm like, I love you. Oh my gosh, look at this butt. Look at the, it's like you look at each part of yourself, but I really see myself as a whole now. I'm not tearing myself apart of being like this one thing, this one thing, this one thing. It's so liberating. So I totally agree that I think that that is like the biggest, if you will, like pandemic of all, is like women just not loving their bodies, or not loving parts of their bodies, and to like actually send love to that area is like got to be such a foreign experience for so many people, but it literally changes everything. It changes physically.
Yeah.
Like think about your midsection. If you're holding weight there, which I was for so long, I started to send love there. I started to understand why, because it was trauma that happened in my childhood. And now it's like completely started to balance out all over. And I'm like, what? I didn't think this was possible. I mean, I was like 7 and I had this around me, and it was like, wow, I've been carrying that since I was 7. And now it's like, oh my God, my form has changed now that I've sent love to that area.
Yeah, your shape changed. Like you released the thing that was being held there. And it's interesting, like it's so cyclical, right? It's like the first thing that happens is you start hating it, and then the body is like, okay, we hate this part of us, let's store all of the stuff that we hate there. Let's store the shame and the judgment and the pain, and that one time that my boyfriend didn't text me back, and all of the things, let's store it right here. And as it gets stored, you start to hate it even more, and it's just like this cyclical thing where suddenly you're just stuck, and it seems like there's no getting out. And the reality is the only answer is love.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And for some people that may be listening where they're like, yeah, that sounds pretty and nice. How do I get there? I would say one of the most beautiful ways to get there is to first start to neutralize it. Because sometimes that can't feel like, it's like to go from hatred to love feels like such a huge swing that it's like jarring. Can you start to neutralize it first and then start to bring that love back in? And truly the love will help you neutralize, but through somatic healing, that actually helps you neutralize all of the fear, the anger, the judgment, all of that. It really starts to neutralize it. And then you can really start to connect with loving that part of you too. It can be like a little bit of like a swing. It doesn't have to be like, just love it. It's like, it is a beautiful unveiling, if you will, of the process itself, and just letting itself kind of move, but know that it's possible. Even if it doesn't feel like you can just swing straight to the love space, like if you bring it back to neutral first, and then you can start to move into love, that's where it starts to feel a little more attainable for sure.
Yeah. So one of my methodologies, I know I'm supposed to go into this later, but I'm going to talk about it.
No, go for it. Yeah, this is great. There's no order. Like, let's go.
So one of the context and the methodology that I teach is called Release, Embrace, Create.
Mm-hmm.
And so essentially it means once you release, then you have the opportunity to go to this point that you're speaking about right now of neutrality and embrace what is. And then from that, you could create love.
Yeah. Yes.
But the actuality is it starts with create. It starts with an intention to create this thing. And the reality is when I declare something, an intention that is other than something that I already currently have, I am immediately in like essentially a distance from where I am currently and where I want to go. And so in order to close that gap naturally, what your body will start to go through is the release, embrace, create method. And so when women want to love a certain part of their body, like let's just take my shoulders because you can see them right now. And if they've always hated their shoulders, they've hated maybe how big they are, the fact that they'll never see their collarbones because that's just not how their body operates. And I have them start to love on themselves and to send love to that area and to declare that they want to love themselves and to say, I love my shoulders. I love my shoulders. I love my shoulders. What will happen naturally is the body will start to release. And so usually as they're loving this part of themselves, they'll start to cry.
Yeah.
They'll start to shake a little bit. And it's because the body's natural process is let me release what's in between the current starting point and what I want to create, which is love. Yes. And all of the stuff in here is the way that you've talked to yourself and your trauma and the things that have happened to you in your life and the choices you've made that maybe weren't so good and the food that you've ingested into your body that you knew wasn't good for you. All of that is going to go in order for you to get to this love point naturally. And so the methodology that I teach over and over again is like, first, we got to figure out what you want. Like, what is it that your body that your body craves to experience on a daily basis that it doesn't? And so like, my Instagram bio, like, is I support women who are tired of having their shit together 24/7. Like, that is the thing that I support people with the most, because what women really want in my space is ease and freedom and joy. And it feels accessible sometimes, but not all the time. And I'm like, okay, so let's start there. Because if you declare I am joyful, now suddenly everything that's in the way between you being that is going to come up and out, is going to be released, is going to need to be a somatic process of transformation in order for you to have that.
Ooh, so powerful. I really love that methodology of like, oh, that's such a beautiful way to describe the process itself of really like taking yourself from here to there and what it takes to do that, and really to give yourself that space to just hold the area that you've ignored for so long. And to then, like you were saying, release everything from the space. It really does come out somatically. And that can look like you were saying, shaking, tears, the movement of the energy, the sweat, like you were saying, all of that stuff is the movement of that trapped energy that's been calcifying in this area for so long. It's like you're finally freeing yourself from the thing that's been holding you back. And it's like, move that energy. And that allows you to see things more clearly. It's almost like it's like this cloudy energy where you can't actually see the area clearly until you just start to actually pay attention to it and send it love in a way that you're paying attention to it. It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my old mentors used to say, the second you make a declaration, you're in breakdown.
That's hilarious.
And it's true. Like, the second that you say I am, or I want to be somewhere else that I'm not, you must find a way to close that gap. Like, that is what your brain starts to do. And your brain is like, oh, darn, I don't actually have that yet. And so then the body starts to be like, okay, well, how do we create it? And so, touching the body parts that you feel disconnected from the most absolutely supports in healing. In somatic work, we don't really speak in like story, or like, like, we don't really talk in terms of like things that have happened. Like, I'm going to tell the story about the experience, or I'm going to speak out, like, sometimes we do, of course, but really the language that we use is the bodies, which is sensation, like your sense. And so I usually coach people into like, okay, so where in your body do you feel either nothing at all, like you're completely disconnected from it, like you haven't felt the back of your legs in years? Okay, great. Let's start there, right? Or where in your body are you completely tense? Like you haven't been able to move your shoulders up past, a little bit above your neck for years. Okay, let's start there. Or where do you feel pain, chronic pain? Oh, stomach issues for 10 years. Got it. Let's start there. Because in that area is where there is like, your body has chosen to just, like, metaphorically, if you think about it, like send all of its like junk to like the junkyard. And it's like, oh, that part's already not working great because we like started putting shit back there, 20 years ago.
Right.
So let's keep throwing it in there, because I don't want to compromise the other parts of myself.
Yeah.
And so let me just make sure that I keep putting things there. Oh, you judged yourself today. It's going to go to your stomach again. Oh, like you got broken up with, we're going to put it in your stomach again. And it starts that cyclical process. So I usually speak into, okay, where do you feel no sensation at all? Where are you completely numb? Where do you feel tense? Like immobility, like I cannot move this part of my body really. A great place that people don't really think about for that is your feet. Like how many toes can you move, right? Like, can you send your attention into your pinky toe right now? Can you move just your pinky toe right now? Where in your body are you tense? People tend to go to the shoulders, but what about the lower back? Like, when's the last time you like just tilted your body forward and back? Do you do that throughout the day? Do you feel like you could twist in any direction right now? Where are you feeling the most pain? A lot of people go to their stomachs, but at the same time, how many nose infections have you got? How many How many allergies have you gotten in the last few years? Like, that's your throat. That's like this whole part of your body. That's pain as well. So, starting with, where do I feel tense? Where do I feel most pain? Or where do I feel the least amount of sensation? Like, where am I totally numb? And starting to caress that part of yourself, and then declaring what is it that you're going to create. Your body will start the natural process of releasing what's ever in the way of that.
Yeah. I was going to ask you if you had examples of what to do once you bring someone there. So that's beautiful, is that you start to bring your actual energy and attention to those spaces where you're feeling the numbness or you're feeling the tightness, and actually start to, what I like to do too is like, when you're experiencing that, I actually will ask that body part, like, what message do you have for me? Sometimes messages come through. Sometimes your body just tells the story and you don't even have to understand it. That's the beauty of the body, is that you don't have to relive the story in your mind, because sometimes our body doesn't actually want us to relive it in our mind, or our mind doesn't want us to. It blocks it out. Sometimes we don't even know what we're releasing. And so that's the beauty of, like, when you're just starting to actually just bring attention to it, it starts to just begin to release. Yeah.
Totally. I think I do ask my clients that sometimes, like, what is this tension trying to teach you? Or what is it trying to show you? And, that supports in our own intellectual understanding of it, in our human understanding of it. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, and like understanding it from your human point of view. And yes, like, we are totally releasing all of the time.
Yes.
And we're not necessarily always present to it, but I mean, the body responds to stimuli 100 times faster than the mind.
Yes. Yeah. You walk into a room and you're like, whoop, this is a room I'm not supposed to be in. I don't like this room. Before we even look around, it's like, you just feel it instantaneously, right? So interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could see it in terms of, like, your body will move you out of the way 100 times faster than your mind will if like a car is like barreling towards you. Like, your body will just do it. Like, she knows, she's got you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're also in this practice too, but just reminding everybody to listen to your body first, because she's got a little bit more knowledge than our mind really does.
So much body wisdom stored. It's like, just access it, And so what are some other examples that someone could do to somatically heal? Like, for instance, is there like a favorite that you do that someone could put into practice right now, apart from the one you just mentioned, which was like bringing in the attention to that space? Is there anything else that you love that someone could just, as they're listening to this, be like, you know what? I'm feeling like maybe I have something to release. What's one of your favorites that you find is like really supportive for you and your clients?
Well, I'm going to give you two.
Yeah, let's do it. I love it.
So the first is freely moving your body. So I usually have my clients either put like an eye mask or a bandana on, or like even a t-shirt tied around your face, and put like 10 minutes worth of songs queued up in your Spotify or in your Apple Music. And, be kind of aware of like what's going on in your body. So if you've got tension going on, maybe there's a little bit more of an intense song that you can put on to release that tension. If you got pain, maybe there's some sort of like really powerful song that you can put on to release that. If you're just feeling like a little like shakiness, maybe there's like a softer song that you can put on to release that. And then just allowing your body to move freely. And the way that I usually do that is I drop my attention from my brain down to the part of myself where I'm feeling that sensation of tension or pain or numbness even. And I just like try and like feel, what is the sensation that's happening here? And I'm almost like a curious kid, like, what else is there here? What else is there here? Until I'm truly just like in this part of my body. I'm touching my heart right now. So for those that are just listening on the podcast itself.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, okay, I'm feeling this in my heart. I'm feeling this in my heart. I feel like the anger in my heart. I feel it, and starting to move with that, allowing the heart in this experience to lead the body through movement. So where does my heart want to move? I'm just going to let it lead. I'm just going to let it move to whatever is what it needs to release. And so, I'll let my body freely move for like 10 minutes, and then I'll journal about the body's wisdom. That's the first one that I lead clients through. And, I facilitate a little bit more of a practice and like a process in that, but I'll give that for now.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I often, and I've posted about this before, but I often have clients ask themselves is if they're feeling like they need to release something and you're like aware of it already, you're like, something's there. I don't know if it's sadness or anger or what, like, I don't know where it comes from. I just know that something is there. I'll do the exact same process. But I'll just do like 1 minute, no eye mask necessary, but just like connecting with that part of yourself, moving your body maybe a little bit, and then asking your body how she wants to release. And I'll give my body 3 options to like make it easier on my mind. And the first one is, do I want to move it out? And if my body's like, I want to move this out, then I'll just go back to that, eye mask, 10-minute journey, take myself on a little movement journey. Do I want to scream it out? Meaning like, I'm going to grab a pillow or I'm going to grab my hands and I'm just going to like scream whatever is happening in my body out and trust that it's going to leave? Or do I want to speak it out? And, this is like, sometimes it's just really like something that's happening in your mind that's brewing like a storm in your head, and you just need to talk about it. And whether you have somebody there or not, I mean, you could literally open up a voice memo on your phone and just talk into the voice memo as if it's like a human being, or you could call your friend or your partner or, whoever's in your space, your roommate, and talk about it. But I usually just give my body those 3 options. Do I want to move it out, scream it out, or speak it out? And usually the answer will come right away.
Yeah. I love those. I love that so much. And it's so fun. Like when you let yourself just freely express, like that's what I'm hearing is just freely express, whether you're talking, whether you're screaming, whether you're moving, dancing, just whatever it is that you desire, just let it freely express. There's a reason for it. And we so often want to rationalize, what is this? Why are we doing it? And then if you notice those thoughts coming through, bless and release that, thank you for being here to judge me for a minute. And I love you. And let's move on. It's like, okay, I love that part of me that is very interested in what I'm doing, is like, what does this look like? Love that part of yourself. Send love to that part of yourself. The brain that wants to be like, this is weird. It's okay. Love that part of yourself and continue moving. And so it's just like embracing that as part of the process. If you're new to somatic movement or healing, it might feel weird or funky at first. And then once you do it and you realize how quickly it works or can work, you'll be like, I'm addicted. I'm going to scream. I don't care. Like my neighbors can just do what they're going to do. They can call the cops. I don't care. But use the pillow. Like you were saying, that's helpful.
Or a hand scream. Like you just, you guys that are like not on video right now, you just cup your hands over each other and put them in front of your mouth. And it really creates a bubble. Like nobody can hear it outside of like a 5-foot radius. So you can literally do this in your car if you're like, I've got to let something out. Or you can do it in the bathroom at like your workplace.
Yeah. People are like, whoa, what's going on in that one?
But you just brought up a really great point too, that I feel like is important to mention, which is it's okay to acknowledge your humanity.
Yes.
And actually, I encourage it.
Yeah.
And the way that I want to explain what I mean here is it's okay to not want to take on all of the things that don't work. Like, it's okay to pick your battles. It's okay to be like, I will never love. I don't know how to make it happen. I really don't. I will never love my hair or whatever it is. And so I'm going to change it. I'm going to diet. Like, it is okay to change the things about your body. It's okay to change the things about your circumstances in your life. It's okay to change other things outside of you if you're like, this is just not my battle. Like, this is not my circus, not my monkeys. I don't want this one. I'm not going to have this breakthrough here. It's okay to say that. And I can illustrate that with my own body because I love all parts of my body now. But for years and years and years and years, I hated my nose. And so when I turned 18, I begged my parents for a nose job and they said no for 3 years straight. And then finally they said yes. And so I had one and I love my nose now. And I hated the rest of my body at the time. And I was like, I'm not going to just change the rest of my body and get, lipo and all of that stuff. I'm going to work on that part. But I chose out of falling in love with my nose. And so I want all the ladies and everybody who's listening to this to know, like, it's okay to choose out of like having every freaking breakthrough under the sun. You don't need to do that. But there are important life lessons, of course, to learn in this lifetime. And I think that the more lessons we learn, the deeper we can love others and ourselves. And so, take with that what you will. But I want everybody to give themselves a little bit of a deep breath in case it feels like an upward battle, because you truly don't need to battle all of the, things you're up against in your life. You can pick your battles. It's okay.
That's huge. And it's like one step at a time too. I think sometimes we are like, oh, I love this, I want to dive all in. And it's like, yes, if that's your prerogative, that feels good. Yes. And it's like baby steps too. I remind my clients of that all the time. I'm like, this is an onion. You're just peeling back the first one because that's what your soul desires. That's what feels most safe right now. And let yourself be there for that one. That one's huge. That one's amazing. Like, let yourself really appreciate the beauty of what you just released. And then if there's more, and there always is more, like you were saying, then you can lean in when that feels good. But it's like, it's kind of like, it's all related to the cosmos too. And what I think is really cool about the cosmos is we have, to go off on a little bit of a tangent, we have our natal chart and we have what's happening in the cosmos. And what's happening in the cosmos is activating parts of our natal chart, which means maybe the cosmos is having me focus on my career at the moment and my breakdown in this space, or my body at the moment and my breakdown in this space. And so that's kind of cool. I feel like the way that the cosmos works with us and our natal chart is it basically is saying like baby steps, look at each thing when you're meant to, like it's bringing you into this space for a reason. And so know that if like out of nowhere, all of a sudden you're like, why is my home life making me nuts? Okay, maybe the cosmos is activating that part of your natal chart. And that's where you can somatically start to move and understand what's under that surface. So yeah, exactly. Like you don't have to do it all. You can pick your battles exactly as you said. Pick the ones that you intuitively feel drawn to, and bring love into that space too. It doesn't have to feel like a total battle. It really isn't actually. It's like you really coming home to you and loving yourself even more in that space. Yeah.
I love that you just said coming home. That's the name of my retreats that I do.
Oh my God, that's perfect. I was just about to ask you, like, please tell us about the juiciness of your retreats and like how you bring somatic healing into the space. Like, just, yeah, I want to hear more.
Yeah. So they're called Coming Home. So, and what you just said is really the essence of them too. It's for women that either have like done some sort of work before, or maybe not, but like have had a spiritual awakening, are aware of themselves and the things that they want in their life, and have tried a lot of stuff to make that happen. It's a very intimate space. Only 8 women can come each time. And it takes place in a cave in Tulum, with a private cenote. It's a really beautiful location, but the point of it is, first of all, women historically have created massive things when they've worked together in community. And so I think that the most effective healing women can do is when we are not only healing ourselves, but healing in collective with others. And so the entire training, the entire retreat is all somatic release in like purpose of creating that thing that you've been missing in your life. And for many women, it's limitless freedom, right? Like think of financial freedom of time, just feeling free in their daily lives. For many women, it's also surrender, like being able to release control, not have their, life together 24/7 and be okay if that happens. For many women, it's also finding more joy. Joy is the most vulnerable emotion we have as humans. And for many women, I think that many women are seen as weak when they're in true joy and true wonder. And so many women I've worked with kind of shield that part away for only like special occasions. And in reality, joy is life. And it's like one of the biggest reasons we're here. So those are some of the overarching reasons women come. But I mean, with my last group that I did, like was a woman who came because she really wants to have a child and she knows that there's an energetic block there. And so she's, been working on releasing pain from her womb area and, has been on an incredible journey of finding that essence again within her and her feminine essence so that she can create that in her life. And I had another woman who just knew that there was something blocking her from releasing her biggest purpose in life, and that her purpose was just like right on the other side of this wall that she didn't even know how to identify. And so truly every woman comes for a reason that's very personal and also very important to her. But the overarching themes I see are freedom, surrender, ease, joy, and purpose. And so the entire retreat then is in the context of releasing to embrace, to then create. And the beauty of it, I think, is that in those releasing processes, you are not just releasing for yourself and with yourself, you are releasing for yourself and also for every other woman that's ever experienced something like that before, and specifically releasing for all of the other 7 women in your space that have experienced something similar to that before, because we all have such mirrored journeys. And so I think the beauty of it is the women that come are extremely like they're in community with each other. They're extremely connected to each other, and they're actually utilizing each other for their own healing journey. And so I think that's why like people look 20 years younger leaving on Sunday. Like they are like so refreshed, so rejuvenated. Also, the jungle of Tulum in itself, like to give the space its own props, is very spiritual. I mean, we're like seated on, multiple 1,000-year-old Mayan ruins. Like that is the energy that we are working with, right? So the space itself is extremely beautiful. The private chef that we have there is like some of the best food I've ever had in Mexico is the stuff that he cooks. Shout out to Oscar if he ever listens to this, because he's amazing.
I love it.
He'll be the only man there every single time. Just
yes, I love it. Oscar holding it down.
He's just holding down the fort. He's the best. But yeah, other than that, it's just truly, it's the collective. It's the collective that comes together and creates healing for one another. And I think as women, we heal better in collective and in community. And also as women, we love to just go at it alone. So it's a great little stretch for individuals to let themselves be seen and to see.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh. To be seen, to see, to be held. Yeah. I remember, wow, that first of all, that sounds incredible. That sounds so amazing, so juicy. And to be in a cave and to like let yourself fully express in the way that your body desires to express. Like there is so much freedom in being like, I don't need a pillow. I can just scream as loud as I desire right now. And it doesn't matter because I'm in a cave and everyone else is doing it. Right. And so it's like how beautifully freeing to be able to do that in community with other women who are doing it too, and to really come together and be held in a way that I feel like heals part, or starts to heal that sisterhood wound, right? Of just being like, I can be held. I can be myself. I don't have to worry about being seen in my vulnerability or letting my true essence be seen by myself too, with others. Like, I feel like that even gives them permission to see deeper layers of themselves because other women are like inviting it. Let yourself go there. Let yourself see that part of you. And it's like, ooh, okay, here we go together. Like, let's hold each other's hands and dig in. That's so beautiful. So thank you for creating that space, because you're so right. That changes the collective, that changes individually, together in a microcosm, and then all together as a collective, and all being these beings of essentially God essence within each body. It's like we all are truly one, as you were mentioning before. So as Rumi says, right? It's like, we're not a drop of the ocean. We are the entire ocean in a drop. And it's like, this body is a drop, right? And it's like, we're everything all within. And it's like, let all of you be seen and witnessed and felt.
I think that something the retreats that I run do almost too effectively, because sometimes I need support coming back to
Yeah.
distinction of
Yeah.
life. But the retreats that I run definitely kind of dis what's the word I'm looking for? Dissolve the
Mm-hmm.
wall that we have between like you and me and
Mm-hmm.
each other. And so I think that there's almost like a spiritual and a bodily knowing that each woman comes out of it with, of just how similar each and every journey is.
Yeah.
And I've never seen somebody share something that another woman didn't resonate with.
So true. We just assume that we're the only ones that have that or are experiencing that. And we have so much shame and we keep it a secret. And then it makes makes us more ashamed. And it's like, when we say it out loud, it's like, I can't tell you how many people also are like, me too. And I'm like, what? How long have we all been feeling this way? And no one is talking about it. So yeah.
That's a big thing that I see in society, truly, is like we're hiding like all these secrets away and these like experiences that we've had away. And in actuality, it's like we are all experiencing so much pain in our lives. And we're also all experiencing so much greatness in our lives. And so often I think we hide both of those things.
So true. It's like we feel really comfortable playing neutral, not too big, not too small, right in the middle, but then we do it all in our privacy, or sometimes we don't, we're numb to it. And it's like, we came here to express, to experience, like in all five senses, and to tap into the sixth sense, like to go a little woo woo, like you can't taste on the other side, but you can absolutely taste on this side. So use this body to savor. Like we came in to savor, to feel. That is what this vessel is. Feel, see, hear, experience. Like that is one of the reasons our spirit drops in. And so utilize that to heal too. It's like, wow. Incredible, incredible. Olivia, thank you so much for just dropping so much knowledge today. I feel like this has just been absolutely incredible. I feel the magic that is created, one, in the experiences you have with your clients one-on-one and in groups, but like at this retreat, it just sounds like magic all coming together and just like how freeing. So thank you for creating these spaces for women to come home to themselves. Like you were saying, to really deeply drop back in. That is so beautiful. Where do you play? Where do you play? So if people want to hang out with you, where can they connect?
So they can connect on my Instagram. I do a lot of, I do a lot of polls on my stories, and I'm always wanting to hear from people that are, connecting with me. So please message me on Instagram. I would love to chat with you. I do Instagram lives every once and again. And also, I run my retreats in Tulum, Mexico. So if you are interested in that, please let me know. Just shoot me an email. My email list is free, and I drop a lot of knowledge and also just some fun little poetry about the body pretty frequently. So that's also super open to the public.
Amazing. So is your Instagram handle your name?
Yeah, it's at Olivia Alice Conklin.
Okay. Amazing. So that's where you can find her. That's where she's hanging out. Olivia, thank you so much. This was so incredible. You're just like so wise beyond all of your years, like just to bring in the beauty of everything that you do. I feel lighter just even talking to you, of like how much is possible through the body. We don't have to think about it anymore. We can just be free. We can just drop in. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I love talking about this. So truly, anytime I'll be here. We can chat more about the body and all of its truths.
You got it. I love it. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until next time, love you guys.